The Seed and the Sower by Sir Lawrence van der Post. Chapter 1. The Morning After. The Christmas morning after John Lawrence told me about Hara, I woke very early to find my mind not on the day, but obsessed with the memory of Jacques Celliers. I rose quietly before it was light, before even my 2 children were awake, and went downstairs to my study. I unlocked the one compartment in my desk where I keep the things that mean most to me, and took out 7 cardboard folders. I opened the top one quickly to make certain the contents were intact, and was instantly reassured to see Celliers' tense, thrusting handwriting on the coarse yellow sheets of paper, which was the only paper the Japanese would allow us in our prison. Although the edges of the frail paper were frayed and partially rotted from the damp under the stone floor of the prison cell wherein they had lain wrapped in a remnant of an army ground sheet, the hand was remarkably fresh and clear, as if it had only just penned the description of events, instead of some 8 years before. Just for a moment, as I held the slim parcel of writing between my hands, my fingers tingled as if with shock at the miracle which had enabled it to survive not only the heavy damp of the dark Javanese earth, but also the fanatical search by our captors. Finally, years after the end of the war, the Javanese civilian mason who had found it had even been moved with enough wonder to take it to an official, and the official happened to have known me. When this man saw my name and address in England written on the outside and read the entreaty that it should be delivered to me, he ignored the normal formalities, not without some risk to himself, and posted it off to me at once. I sat there for a while, thinking deeply again, as I had done so often since I received it, how strange it was that Celliers should have chosen me as his recipient. There must have been many people in his own country who had known him far better. Indeed, for some months I wondered why he had not sent it to the brother who figures so disturbingly in his narrative. But when I myself went to his old home, I discovered how little that would have helped, though it deepened the strangeness of his action by an implication of a clear foreknowledge of events still to come. But perhaps strangest of all to me, sitting there in the silence of the still Christmas dawn, was the fact that it should be there safe in my hands to show to John Lawrence. What he had told me about himself and Hara the evening before made me feel that Celliers might have written the document not for himself, not for me, not even for his brother, but specifically for Lawrence. I could hardly wait for full morning to come, to break away from my excited children, get out of church, and immediately after breakfast to draw Lawrence to one side and ask, "Do you remember Jacques Celliers?" As he looked puzzled, I hastened to add, "Surely you must! That tall, good-looking South African officer who was with me on my first raids behind the lines in North Africa and afterwards with the 51st Commando in the Western Desert? He used to dine with me in our mess from time to time." "Good heavens!" Lawrence exclaimed, his gray eyes quickening with interest. "Of course I remember him. He was a remarkable soldier, and apart from that, he was almost the only man I've ever met whom one could call beautiful. I can see him now, walking about, almost like an animal, always on his toes and loose in the ankles. Had the guts of a lion, too, and the endurance of a camel." "That's the man you mean, isn't it? And didn't he have some nickname?" I nodded. "That's Celliers, all right. Strafer Jack, the troops called him. I gave Celliers the name he was popularly known by all along the precarious Libyan front in 1941. "Do you know," Lawrence went on, "I've thought of him a great deal lately. Only yesterday I found myself wondering what had become of him. I always had a feeling that he'd never come through alive. I never knew him as you did, of course, and, as you know, he never said much, at least to me. Indeed, for a person who could talk so well when he wanted to, I remember him as an oddly silent man." He paused. "But he seemed to me to behave sometimes as if he wanted to get himself killed. Perhaps you're not far wrong," I said quietly. "Did he get himself killed, then? What happened to him? Why'd you ask me now if I remember him?" Lawrence questioned quickly, his imagination plainly aroused. "Look," I said, "I'd rather you first read this document that he wrote before I answer your questions. What we talked about last night made me feel that you, rather than I, should be its keeper. Read it. It won't take long, and then we can talk." I left him alone, sitting with his fine head and responsive face, on which time had written its own meaning with such intimacy, bowed over the yellow paper. Behind him the soft gray Christmas day was lifting over the accepting fields which, in prison, had haunted my memory like a vision of heaven on earth. This, then, is what Lawrence read.